Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode 458 at scavengerlife.com.
Hello, everyone, to this historic time period where we'll all be able to tell our grandkids about
COVID.
The COVID-19 virus shutdown.
Unprecedented, historic moment.
I hope everyone is doing well, both physically with your health, but also economically. And it's like two different things we're all having to manage.
Yep.
Okay, a week ago we had said that we didn't see any SBA loans that we as eBay sellers were qualified for, and we had many people correct us that we were absolutely incorrect, and they were right. We were wrong. There is an SBA loan called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Emergency Advance.
What?
Yep. And it doesn't even spell anything. Anyway, so that is actually something that supposedly it looks like anyone that sells on eBay could apply for.
Right, you're a small business.
And it says this loan advance will provide up to $10,000 of economic relief to businesses that are currently experiencing temporary difficulties. And there was confusion, like, is it a loan? Is it a grant?
Right.
And so up to $10,000, it's basically a grant, even though they call it a loan advance. You don't have to pay it back. So we did apply. It was actually very easy. And we had so many people say, yeah, I applied and my brother-in-law applied. And that's also, I think, one of the difficulties. It was so easy to apply for. You didn't really have to show any paperwork or anything.
I mean, my guess at this point, because I applied about a week ago, is that they're going to ask you for information.
Yeah.
But we have an EIN number with the IRS.
Right.
So you're like, they can check all that. So, yeah.
I mean, we will see. I mean, now my question is, so everyone's very excited. Everyone applied for it. That's great.
Right.
Now I'm more interested in is, does anyone like us get accepted? And to me, the bar is so low, I'm really kind of skeptical how fast or if they will start giving out that $10,000. But maybe since the government has $1 trillion or more in aid, maybe they'll just be smart and just pump the economy full of cash. If you're a small business with an EIN number, they're just throwing out $10,000, knowing that all of us...
up to $10,000.
Whatever. Up to $10,000, knowing that cash is going to be spent in the economy.
Right.
Buying equipment, paying rent,
Yes.
So, anyway.
Paying your employees, all that stuff.
I mean, no one as of now has gotten the $1,200 per adult that supposedly the government's going to give. So it's been very slow.
There's also interesting things about unemployment as well, where it's like the federal law, happened. And then all the states, it trickles down to all the states to have to figure out the actual, paperwork and website. And, so I've heard from other, business owners and people who are employees that are just like, you can't even apply as a self-employed person right now in my state. They don't even have the paperwork. And, this is very quick. All of this happened so fast that, the government doesn't work fast.
Right.
So I think it's one of those things that we all just have to be we just have to see what's going on.
And it is one of those things where if they want to help the economy, this stuff has to happen fast because, all of us have bills and, things you have to pay. Okay. Let's go to even better news. Recession.
Let's
talk about this. As people that run businesses, I've been reading even when they open the economy back up,
right,
and people like us can rent our businesses and people can open up their stores again, is there going to be a long-term effect where there will be a recession where people are slow to get back out to spend, people are afraid to get out into public, you know? It's unclear.
I mean, who knows?
Kind of like 2008. And, and what is it? I mean, basically it's when the economy shrinks because people aren't spending.
Right.
And that's unclear. And, us as business owners, like, are we prepared for 6 month, a year of not as much income as we would normally expect?
Right.
And as of right now, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
We'd be okay. But if you're running a business, you should really make sure you see that you could weather out a year just in case income won't be zero. Well,
and also, like, I think that people listening to this podcast have, flexible businesses where, the way we all do business, like right now, eBay is like keeping us afloat, which blows my mind. Every time I talk to people who are like, my business is shut down, I'm like, I'm actually selling stuff on eBay. Like, it makes no sense to me, but it's keeping me afloat. And, I think that all of us listening here have a different kind of business model. Like in 2008, we actually started this business in 2008. And it actually made sense because it was like, oh, people who usually buy new or with our rentals, people who usually vacation overseas, well, they're going to vacation locally now. We're not our target audience. So we're like, are people just not going to buy anything? And I feel like us as scavengers and the people listening are set up to be recession proof. I mean, shutting off the economy is like totally different, like what you're saying, than an actual recession where things kind of like shrink and get smaller. This is so different than that. But are we going to have a shrink and get smaller, which is what happened after 2008? The same thing happened. But this is so extreme compared to 2008. I mean, it's like chopping the head off of the economy.
But some of the articles are saying there. So that was the doom. Recession's coming for a long time. People aren't going to. But there's another way of thinking because no one knows. Right. But the idea is this is different from past problems like 2008 when there was this problem in the infrastructure of the American economy where people are giving out bad bank loans. Yeah. And so all that crashed and we had to work through that. This is where the economy got shut down because people can't go to stores because of the virus. Right. But once people feel comfortable getting back out, then it's just back to normal because people can go to work and,
have
these
a job.
Companies want to hire their people back. They want to start making things. People want to eat at, places to eat. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to talk to other small business owners that we know and just like other self-employed people because it's like we don't even know what to do with this information. You're like, I'm not allowed to conduct business. It's not like, oh, business is slow. Oh, eBay is slow. Like things slow down. It's the summertime, whatever. You're like, everything is turned off by law.
Right.
It feels crazy. Now, so how do you predict what happens after that?
I did read an article and it was interesting that I guess since 2008, this idea of people having businesses online, making jewelry, selling on eBay, Amazon, just making things at home, that actually, especially in places like we are, and in small towns, that it's actually these online businesses that are going to keep kind of country counties afloat because so many of us have created these lives where we don't depend on our small economies, it's within a 20-mile radius we're selling online. Yeah. And that's interesting. It was the first time I'd ever kind of seen that acknowledgement that people like us exist and that there's a lot of us and that we're kind of holding up part of the economy.
Yeah. I mean, we buy property, we pay taxes, all those things happen, whether people are in New York or LA are buying my stuff,
Right. People own Amazon businesses where they sell stuff on Amazon and they have a warehouse and they have people who work for them.
Yeah,
and, anyway, it was interesting.
Well, it is the first time that, with that whole law that got passed with the unemployment, the little section about unemployment where they're like, oh, and self-employed and gig workers. You're like, it's the first time they've acknowledged like that you could possibly get unemployment when you don't have, employment and you're like someone who has a flexible schedule like that, because there are so many of us now, it's not normal.
That is interesting. Obviously we're complaining that it's slow for them to build that kind of infrastructure,
right,
to offer those benefits for people that don't have traditional W-2 jobs. But what happens when they build it, when the virus is gone? Is that going to become like a permanent, way? Because these are people who work. Even if you're 1099, you work and make an income. So, and
there are times where there are several months where you don't work because there is no work. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, and one thing, you recently started joining, like it's once a week, like it's kind of like a mastermind group. It's like a local entrepreneurial group where you get on a Zoom or a Google Hangout with like people in our area who run a business, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like, I finally found a group of people who are like us, who have these like little, some of them are huge businesses, but they built them themselves. Some of them are really small businesses. And so those are the people I've been talking to who are like, one person was like, I filed for unemployment. I have no idea if it's going to go through or how to even say that I'm a 1099 worker most of the time. Someone else was like, oh, I applied for that SBA loan, whereas, 2 weeks ago they said it was up to $2 million. And now they say it's capped at $15,000. And I don't even know if I'm going to get it. Like, you're having these conversations with people and you're like, yeah.
Now, is it like 10 people in the group? I'm not part of it.
It's like 10 to 15 people.
So is it mainly people with like storefronts?
No,
like
most people don't have that.
Oh, okay.
Most people are like, oh, I run a company where we do like, mini marathons on bike trails, and it's stuff like that where you're like, okay, that's an interesting idea. Or there's another couple that runs a B&B. Like they're really young, and a year ago they bought this B&B and like took it over, and they're like, yeah, now we're shut down. So there, several people do have brick and mortar businesses that they own and run, but they have other businesses too. So it runs the gamut. Like, there's all different kinds of people there.
So are people just mainly talking, just they need a shoulder to cry on in a way?
No, not really. Right now, well, it's such a weird time right now because I was supposed to meet them all in person for the first time ever on like the 20th of March, and that didn't happen. So, it's been a weird time. Instead of like, oh, how do you guys get a loan for such and such? It was like the first day we all met, we were like, what is going on with the world? This is crazy. So, we've been talking about that. But, what's interesting is there are several people in the group who have had to pivot, where they're like, oh, we were going to do this, but now we're doing this, and it's actually working out really well. And people are like, we're sold out of X, Y, and Z. So one woman who has a brick and mortar, she was like, oh, I don't even know why I have a brick and mortar. I'm doing so well online and doing pickups for people, like doing custom orders and pickups locally, that I don't know why I have the overhead of a
what kind of
brick and mortar
store? If I can ask.
It's like, how do I explain what she does? It's like almost like a gift store, but it specializes in like soaps and fragrances, and I don't even actually know because I haven't been able to go to her store because it's been shut down.
So it's like a gift shop.
Yeah, it's kind of like a gift shop, but she's like, I've been doing so well with people sending, special things to people across the country or whatever. Sure. So it was interesting that this is what sparked her to be like, oh, why do I have I spend so much on rent. It's insane. So.
This definitely is a time where, businesses that weren't sustainable are not going to make it, or they're going to have to
change,
for lack of a better word, pivot where you find the business model that makes more sense.
Right.
So people become lean and mean.
So it's interesting to hear, like, sometimes I have nothing to say because I'm like, I have real estate rentals that are closed because the county closed them. I don't know how to pivot from that. Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But it feels really good to connect with people like that, just like on our forum and on our blog, because, you know, it's such a weird lifestyle to not have a job,
sure.
You know, like a paycheck job. And so many people have that. And you're like, who do I talk to about this weird life that we have, you know?
Okay. So we actually, you know, we haven't been wanting to talk about this other business that we were wanting to invest in because we're like finishing the building and we don't like to talk about anything until it's done. But we're just going to mention it today because we need you to do a favor for us.
Yeah.
So it's not a big surprise. Everyone guessed it.
Not everyone. Some people guessed it and they were correct.
So we have a building on Main Street. We finished the apartment above. And then on the main floor, we're opening up a coffee shop. Like
big surprise.
Yeah. So it makes sense. We don't have one in our little small town. Right. You know, kind of like a modern specialty coffee shop, kind of cafe, not like big meals, just like light fare, grab and go.
Really good coffee.
We'll talk more about the whole thing later. But our favor we're asking is that we're partnering with these two young people in the next town over that already own a coffee shop. So it hasn't happened yet, but the idea is we're going to partner up. And they're going to help us run the day-to-day of this coffee shop.
Right. Because
we're not going to run the coffee shop day-to-day.
Because they are professional baristas. They know how to do it. Yeah,
and they already run, and they also make their own coffee. They roast their own coffee. So that's where I'm getting at. We would love for you to actually order some coffee from them. If you go to
broadporch.coffee.
Yeah.
So it's Broad Porch.
Right. And we'll put a link on our website. We would love for you to buy a bag of coffee from them, or even better, if you did like a monthly subscription where I think it's like $12 or something, and they'll mail you a pound of coffee to you every month.
So everyone's stuck at home. You can't go get a nice cup of coffee, but you can subscribe to people to send you coffee, fresh coffee. So that's how they're sustaining their business right now, is through mail order. Right. They can't even do takeout orders. They were at first and they can't.
Right.
So anyone who wants delicious coffee roasted locally, soon to be in our little town as well.
And the two people, their names are Phil and Jill.
Yes.
And you can say that you got sent to them from Scavenger Life. They don't know that we're doing this. So, and it's funny, we actually went up to Vermont to check out another coffee shop, or a
coffee roaster, coffee roaster,
to kind of see what they were doing. And it's funny, we went out to eat in this little town, in Brattleboro, and the waitress actually came up to us. She
knew us from Scavenger Life.
She sold on eBay and had recognized us. And I remember Phil was like, whoa.
What is she talking about? Right. She was like, hey, Scavenger Life podcast. And he was like, what? How does this stranger know you? It's so funny.
He knows that we sold on eBay, but didn't know that we had
a podcast.
So anyway.
So we were outed.
We'll talk more about this business because it's still not, it's kind of like gelling.
Well, we still also have to finish the building. Our renovation's completely on hold right now.
But that's the plan, is to finish this building, open up a coffee shop in our town, partner with these two people that know how to run a coffee shop.
Know how to roast beautiful coffee.
Yeah, and so go to
broadporch.coffee.
Yeah. And just order some coffee. Yeah.
Yes, please. We appreciate it. So when I was, remember when we were like, oh, Ryan went away for a week and Jay was hanging out in an Airbnb. Well, I was studying coffee tasting.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And actually passed my tests to become a Q grader.
Yep.
Anybody who knows anything about specialty coffee, I am a certified Q grader.
Hey, Ryan took the Q.
I took the Q. I passed the Q. It's 20 tests.
Yep.
So we're taking it pretty seriously. I mean, we dove right in when we were like, oh, specialty coffee, this is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been something we've been doing the past 12 months or more, 18 months. So,
so that's the secret. It's revealed.
Okay, so let's go to eBay. Couple things, issues on Facebook. So thanks to people encouraging us, Ryan actually took the plunge and has been kind of a Facebook person now, right?
Oh, don't ever call me a Facebook person. I'm selling stuff on Marketplace as much as possible. It's super slow, but I'm having issues where the most random stuff gets flagged as like illegal items,
right?
And then they just take it down,
right? So, for instance, we took a satellite dish off
it
of
was
this
like
building
a cable satellite dish, and I was like, I actually am just giving it away for free, and it got flagged twice and removed
as a weapon. Right?
And then actually I tried to put a little rug up right after that. It also got flagged and taken down.
And so does Facebook have like a system to talk to people? Like, is there a phone or no? Okay.
Facebook. Yeah. So you can appeal it and be like, hey, can someone look at this? Because this is literally a rug for the floor.
Right, I understand.
And so I did that, and then they took it down. So you're like, is this just all automated?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone has advice for me on that or what.
Yeah. But, it's been good. It's not where you sell things at eBay prices. We get that. It's more if we have something, we make $20 here, $30 there,
Sometimes I'm giving stuff away for free that I don't want to haul to the thrift store. I'm like, someone could use this,
Something else. So we're still inventorying. We're
almost done.
We're almost done.
Pretty
completely done. We did all the
everything.
Our whole store is almost inventoried. We were going through some of our eBay stuff, the storage boxes that we get for free, and there's this weird, is that a new box? It's like this box that's hard to put together.
Oh, the eBay. So it's like a 4x4x4 box. Did anybody get this last time? It's like a foldable, it's almost like a gift box. It's almost like not meant for shipping. I will ship in it. And it was so hard to put together. I'm like, why are they... Who thought of this?
It's basically the size. You could put a small
square
coffee mug in it, but you wouldn't want to put it in there because it would just fit, and then it wouldn't be.
Look, a 4x4x4 box is super useful. I would totally, yes, I will use a 4x4, but why not just have it be the regular like two-fold instead of this like bizarre? I don't know.
Yeah, but. It's like
I'm
origami.
Wondering, it's like origami.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if anyone else found those boxes useful. I need, as a reminder, so it's April, so it's Q2. You should order your eBay shipping supplies for free if you have a coupon. I need to go do that. Sometimes I forget till the end of the quarter, and people remind me. So
we are almost done doing our inventory, and that means having every item in a bin, that bin have a number on a shelf that has a number. And so now almost everything we sell, we just check out the custom SKU and you go right there and grab it, right?
Yep.
That's great.
It's rare to find something that doesn't have a SKU.
Yeah.
And if you do, you're like, did I miss that?
Right.
I need to go fix that.
So one of the last categories we still have to do are books. We do not sell a lot of books, but we have a couple of shelves of books where they're just kind of stacked. And so we spent $160 on Amazon, and we ordered shelves that
specific
we'll put together.
Sizes that we needed.
And we're really like kind of cramming, we're really maximizing the space of our warehouse, our little building behind our house. And so I have a vision of how it's gonna go, and that way books can go like a library, spine up, spine out, and then each of those shelves will have a number on it.
Yeah. Right now we have, like you said, books are stacked on one shelf. It's just a mess. And when things are stacked like that, I mean, you have to look through every stack of books. It's all on one big shelf, and you're like, it could be anywhere here.
And when we actually get them and start inventory, and we could even start scanning books and see if any of them are worth
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
selling.
There's been a couple things in artwork and pottery and glass and stuff where we're like, let's let's just end this. But it was like less than 5, but it did happen.
Yeah, the books I try and buy now, which are very small amounts, are like art books, like table books. Is
coffee table books.
Coffee table books.
But those art books are expensive to buy new, but you can make good money if you sell them used as well. So we do look for those. They're more interesting to us.
So I do want to say thank you for anyone who recommended us inventorying our stuff. People gave us, it's been a long
literally
process.
Everyone was like, you don't have an inventory
system? People gave us good info and motivation. And actually this whole time has been great because that's what we've been doing while we've been
every day we've been doing inventory. Like I'll grab a bin, inventory the bin. We do a shelf a day, and our shelves are done now. So,
okay, let's talk about our numbers. We sold 42 items.
Wow.
For $985.
Yeah.
Which
a lot of low dollars.
Which, we always say we like to gross $1,000 a week, and that's not including shipping costs. It's just the cost of goods. And so we didn't quite make it, which is not great.
But I'm happy for $900.
Right. So here's the difference. So a week ago, we sold 41 items.
Yeah.
So we sold about the same amount. The thing is, our average price of item this week was $23.
Oh, my God.
Versus a week ago, it was $31.
It's because I'm taking offers like it's nobody's business. People send me half-price offers. I'm like, yes, fine.
We did not sell a single $100 item. Which normally we do, which I have to remember. It's amazing we can find items that sell for $100 that we often don't pay more than $1 for.
Right.
It's so when it doesn't happen, I have to be like, that's incredible that it even happens at all. We actually didn't even sell anything over $50, which is amazing.
Maybe it's that recession is starting.
Over a third of the items we sold were under $20.
Yeah.
Which is
amazing. That's crazy.
And it always reminds me that we actually have quite a few things in our store under $20. Like we don't plan for it.
It's like too many items.
It's just that's just you get a big box of stuff and you end up like, well, I have it. I might as well list
and it's
it.
sell. I mean, and look that stuff. I mean, as crazy it is, that stuff floats us sometimes. Like it boosts your numbers. You're like, well, I sold 15 of those little weird whatevers. I didn't lose money on them.
It's funny. I don't know if anyone that is hearing this podcast plays video games.
Okay.
But I'm thinking like, we used to get a lot of questions about eBay about how do I sell more? How do I get better at selling? And it's like video games. Video game people say you just got to get good. You
just shut up and do it.
And that means like you just have to like play more and watch people that do it well, and you just have to do it. Like that's the only way you get better at playing a video game. And it's the same way with eBay. I mean, I'm telling this for ourselves. I mean, how do we sell more and better stuff? And it's just like we just have to find better items and list more, and you just get through it. There's no tricks,
Right. I was going to say there's no secret. That's exactly why we started this podcast, because we felt like, I mean, back in 2013, 2012, people were just like, yeah, you're going to make $1 million. Like you're finding gold on the street. And we're just like, no, it is like, you got to go out. You got to find stuff. You got to put it online, and you got to sit on it.
And we have lots of $100 items out there that people could buy. This week.
I got items for $1,000 if you want to buy it.
Exactly.
Is anyone buying it? No.
And so we're not going to go into it because it's not that exciting. But we just sold just.
Yeah, you're like
little pieces of pottery,
a sweatshirt,
and, a fitted twin bed sheet, and some shirts.
But you know what?
Soup ladle.
Look, I sold some random protective gear stuff. Old vintage protective gear stuff, obviously. And you're like, yes, that's the perfect time to sell that stuff for cheap. You know?
Right now, as we're talking, we just sold an item for $11.99, and it's like the case. It's like the nylon case for like a travel chair, like a high chair.
It's for a baby high chair.
I mean,
yeah, you're like,
why do we list that? But
look, I will tell you exactly why we listed that, because we bought a high chair for one of our rentals,
right?
And I was like, well, I don't need the case for it. I bet you money somebody needs the case for it.
Right.
That just paid for half that, because it's a fold up travel high chair that was like $25. Well, that just paid for half of it. Good. That's why. Scavenger. I know it's so. It seems so silly, but
so scavenge of the week. We did a little online scavenging, but not really anything to write home about.
I mean, nothing super exciting.
We're still eating on boxes of stuff we had bought at a couple of auctions, so we got plenty to still list.
Yeah,
and we've been having our helper pick up boxes and take them home,
like exchange boxes.
Yeah, so that's been going okay.
Yeah,
customer issues. Sellers that focus on selling electronics. I don't know how they do it. Like, we're trying to sell your old iPhone. It's like an iPhone, 3 or 6.
It's the 3, an iPhone 3.
And it's not worth a lot of money.
It's worth like $50 max.
This is the second time we've sold it, and they just don't pay us because we need to not have offers on it. But like,
I think I accidentally, when I send out offers in the morning, I don't look at every single listing. I try to, because there are times where I'm like, oh, I'll discount something even more.
Right.
I sent out an offer with that, and so what I need to do is I need to relist it at a good price, like we always say. Buy it now, pay right away.
Pay right away. I just feel like
they are the worst.
I feel like electronics really just attract people who are, I don't know if they're younger or flaky or something.
Or it's like a fake sale. I'm just like, what?
But it's the second time in 2 weeks. Like, this happened like a week ago.
I know, it's silly. Anyone want an iPhone 6?
Things we learned in the forum.
Yes.
There were some interesting things. So one conversation that went a bit off the rails, but it was interesting. Will thrift stores and yard sales and estate sales and flea markets, all the ways that we all buy, ever be the same again?
Yeah.
Because, the virus is here. Will people ever want to be close to each other?
Right.
No one, the fear is no one will ever want to donate again. No one will ever want to go into a thrift store and buy stuff. No one will want to be around each other, and I think a lot of us just said people are going to get back in the swing of things once science shows that the virus has been burnt out and there's a vaccine. There was like a 1918 pandemic where, hundreds of thousands of people have died and we all got back to life.
It was millions of people that died, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So just like you're saying, something hit the world like a plague and just and then 100 years later, we're like, things got back to normal. I mean, 2008, I honestly thought 2008 was the zombie apocalypse. I was like, electricity's going down, internet's not going to work. Right. I'm foraging for food in the woods.
Right.
We prepared for that, actually. Yeah. And, things went back up. Yeah. And I think this is really extreme right now. Like, this is pretty insane. Right. But I think people want it to go back to normal.
I would love to hear from anyone, because I'm sure there are people hearing this that work at estate sale companies. I would love to hear, my gut is that these estate sale companies are chomping at the bit. Like, they're waiting for things to open back up. Yeah. And they have estates they're ready to start to sell. And I think same way for thrift stores. I just think they have so much stuff that they're ready to start selling. So, and
also that whole, the whole idea of people not wanting to be close, and breathing on each other. Sure, fine. I think it's going to take us a little while to get back to that. But the idea that you wouldn't want to pick something up that was used in someone's attic for the last 5 years, that seems weird to me. I'm like, that seems fine to me. So,
and I think that was the overall experience or opinion of a lot of people. I do wonder too. I remember I talked a couple weeks ago about people who, the way that they sell their fast a nickel sellers?
Slow dime.
Yeah, where they buy stuff and they sell it off as quick as they can, and then they go out and get and more stuff. So they never have a large inventory, but they're selling fast at a good deal. It's kind of like their inventory is they buy it just in time. They're buying it just as they need it, unlike us who...
Right.
Yeah. I do wonder, now that it's coming up on 4 weeks of not being able to go out and really scavenge, and it could be another 4 weeks. People are talking about the end of May. I do wonder how those sellers are doing and if they're finding...
The faster sellers,
Maybe they're finding other ways to get inventory. Maybe, I'd love to know.
I think what people should think about is... And this is a twofold thing. You can scavenge on eBay. You can scavenge on Facebook Marketplace, although normally you have to go to people's houses or whatever to get stuff. But, you can scavenge online, and you should be. Because, number one, stuff's going to get sent right to your house. And number two, you're going to help other sellers. There are sellers, I have a pile of stuff, actually, that I've been, gathering near my desk that I'm I might just sell this as a big lot because I don't want to go through it. I don't want to deal with it. Somebody else might want to deal with it.
Junk lot.
And I'm willing to be here, have it.
Junk drawer lot.
It's $15. Right. Just get it off my desk.
Yeah.
So I think people listening to this should go onto eBay and look for some lots because help out another seller.
After you buy a pound of coffee from
let me get the economy going right now.
Great people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other topic we were talking about is that does it make sense to have a separate eBay store for every category that you sell? Yep. So we had a guy come on. He has a job, but he's thinking about getting onto eBay more. He does sell. And I totally get it.
Yeah.
The idea is you want to be pure and you want to be clean. This is my vintage camera store. Yeah. And this is my vintage clothing store.
And this is my vintage whatever, etc. miscellaneous store.
In that way, because, I think especially when you're new to eBay, you're people are going to come and shop in my store.
Yeah.
And unlike people like us, where we just have a store name, it's ridiculous.
It actually doesn't even matter what the store name is.
It doesn't matter what the store name is.
Nobody cares.
And we just put anything and everything. We have 8,000 items. It's it's almost like the online version of going into a junk shop. Yeah. Where there's just everything on the shelf. Yep. Because, in my opinion, the way people buy on eBay is they buy from a search term.
Yes.
They're I need black shoes size 10, know, and then there's just a search, a list of all these shoes from all different kinds of people, and then I find the right quality and price I want. Right. I'm not going to Steve's shoe store and buying from them. Right.
Now, I will say this, like he was mentioning a very particular vintage camera seller that he bought from.
Sure.
And so he sold that stuff. So I understand, in a way, I understand that. I have bought numerous Apple Watches for me, for you. My mom bought one. We bought one for my sister for her birthday. And we go to the same person because I like their quality. They have good photos. Right. They have good customer service. They sell smartwatches. Right. That's what they do.
So, yeah, absolutely.
That's different.
So I was going to say that. But that being said, I'm willing to be wrong. There is a different way to sell on eBay. And if you are the kind of eBay seller where you're trying to build a brand or you're a niche seller and that's all you're going to, you're just going to sell
this is what we do. Yeah.
Camera parts. Then you could just build that store for that because you're expecting people to come back again and again. I think a lot of people hearing this are more people like us. We're flea market sellers where people, we don't depend on or expect people to keep coming back and buying from our store because they're just getting good deals wherever they can find them.
Look, when I'm shopping on eBay, either whether I'm sourcing or just buying stuff for rentals or for ourselves, I will check out if I'm this is a really good deal. They have a good shipping, correct shipping. I'll go look at their other items. I'm I'm going to go see if I can buy some stuff from this person. But it's rare. Yeah. Usually I'm I need this thing.
But I think if you're like this guy who was asking, which, there's no wrong way to do it. But, he's saying he'll sell vintage camera parts, vintage clothes, and vintage books. And I'm like, well, so are you going to run 3 different stores and have a subscription fee for each one when you're already selling multiple things? Just have them all be in one store, have one subscription cost, and then have different categories in your store because that's what the store subscriptions allow. So I can still shop your store and I just go on the sidebar
vintage cameras
and I can pick, vintage Polaroids and you break it down for me. I don't think, in my opinion, paying the different subscriptions for your stores. It's not worth it
really for such small sellers.
But again, I'd love to hear what other people think, and if people have an opinion on that. I'm sure they do.
It does remind me of and we used to hear this a lot more earlier on, but I guess we hammered it into people of what we thought. But it's what should I name my store? Right. And we're like, it does not matter what your store is called. Nobody cares. Right. I almost thought about taking my store banner off and just putting a cool photo up there and just being whatever. Yeah. My username could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And that's what most people's eBay, their names are, and then their store is always just a vintage goofy antiques.
Gugas.
It doesn't.
Gugas miscellaneous.
Yeah. But then again, I don't know. That's just how we sell. Maybe there's a new generation of sellers that are more Instagram savvy, that are more where they're curating. They have they have a brand on Instagram where they're known for certain looks.
Look, I know people like that, and I've seen people like that, and I'm like, are your sales as do we have the same amount of sales? Because if we do, I'm not taking the time to do that. I'm just not. eBay's not the place for it.
Right.
Instagram, if you're selling on Instagram or whatever, you want social media following. Yes. Poshmark, yes, probably. Etsy, for sure.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing.
But bottom line, for me, all an eBay store is a vehicle to sell your items. And that vehicle costs a certain amount. So,
right.
We have an Anchor subscription, and it's a certain amount every month, but we can list almost as much as we want.
It's 10,000 items. I do want to say this, though, because someone else came on the forum to ask for a review of their store, a critique of their store. Right. This is not to say, okay, store name, username, that stuff doesn't matter. Your photos and your titles do matter.
That stuff does matter.
I don't think you need to do a whole Etsy, vignette
But when someone does do a search for black shoes, size 10, and there is just a list of all these items, shoes from all different people, you want your photo to be attention grabbing
and professional,
and to have the title not be misspelled and look weird and formatted strange,
Or people using titles where you get 80 characters and they use 20 characters.
Yeah. I mean, as I've said, it's before. When you put an item on eBay, all you're doing is putting search terms on.
Yeah, it's search
terms. And you're trying to get the best, most efficient and relevant search terms.
Yep.
And the more search terms you have at your store, i.e. items, the more times someone is searching for an item, they're going to land on your item. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
go to the calls that people sent in this week.
You can email us a call, an audio file. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com. Or you can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hi, guys. Long-time listener, one caller time before. Anyways, I'm glad you guys are seem to be doing okay, and you're still putting out content. I appreciate it. It helps feel like a sense of normalcy. Oh, there they are again. Yay, they're still there. I've been ending listings and then pushing selling similar because I have a lot of free listings, so I want to take advantage of it. And I've also just been revising and just doing stuff like that. And I'm going on I only have 500 listings. I know for a fact that I always check global shipping because I'm a global shipper. I love it. I mean, I live for it. Sometimes things wouldn't sell if it wasn't for global shipping. I've found it default when I go on there to my listings that I already had listed, ones that I'm revising, blah, blah, blah. it says it's not checked. I have to go in and check the box for global shipping. So I just wondered, is that a thing? Is that possibly like a glitch of some sort? Because it's happened on at least 100 items so far. So I know it wasn't just like, oh, maybe I made a mistake that time, or maybe blah, blah, blah. It's a thing. So that's it. I wondered if you guys had, well, you wouldn't know it probably unless you were going in and looking at your listings and all that, but maybe somebody else knows. All right. Thanks, guys. Keep it coming.
Thanks for the call. Yes, that is something like we kind of strive for. I think the reason why we keep doing this podcast is like, how long can we do this week after week?
And talk about the same thing every week.
It's kind of like you're in the middle of a Guinness Book of World Records and like you don't want to stop, you know?
Right. You're like, right. So the global shipping glitch, I have heard of this. My mom had the similar issue. Jenna. So here's my question. I'm assuming that you don't have business policies turned on where you have shipping policies, because if you did and you had like, let's say 3 or 4 shipping policies, you know, one for first class, one for priority, one for parcel, and those would all have the global shipping turned on, and it shouldn't be a problem. But if you don't have shipping policies turned on and you're like doing the shipping one by one per listing, then this could be a problem. I don't know why it's happening. I've heard that it's happening before. My mom was like, why is global shipping turned off? I went to go revise this. It's gone. We also love global shipping. So you're like, what the heck? So what I would say is turn on business policies. It's a pain. It's messy. It's annoying. But once you do it, I don't think you'll have this problem anymore, because you'll have, you know, a few profiles for shipping and they'll all have global shipping turned on. So that's my advice to solve it. I don't know if other people have seen this with the global shipping, you know, checkmark box being unchecked. I've heard of it. I don't know why.
And plus, it seems unclear to us. We don't know. We don't have some kind of like direct line to eBay. It seems like eBay might be pushing global shipping out.
Yeah.
And trying to get everyone on eBay Send, which is their new kind of international shipping program.
It's DHL.
Yeah. It's not as robust as global shipping, where for that you just send it to a warehouse and then they take it from there. It's all guaranteed. eBay Send, we're still on the hook for getting to the person, but there's a nice system, you know.
It's pretty good. You know, DHL is definitely slower. Global shipping, man, I would send stuff and, I would send one thing to California and one thing to London, and London they'd get there at the same time. And I'm just like, this is amazing, crazy. Yeah. But people were paying a lot of money for that, I think. So I don't know. I
will say, all the time, global shipping was always seemed more expensive just because people were paying for all the fees
up front,
all the, what is it called, duties,
like the VAT tax and the customs,
all that stuff up front, which they have to pay for anyway.
Right.
And with eBay Send, that doesn't happen, so it seems cheaper. But I don't know, people overseas, they always say, I never have to pay those fees anyway. I'm like,
maybe they don't.
What kind of weird country is this where like, are there fees or they're not fees?
Depending on the item.
So weird.
Whatever. So, I mean, I agree with you that shipping internationally is important. I sell internationally as well a lot, and I love it. I love being able to, I sold some overalls to someone in Sydney, Australia this morning.
Good day, mate.
I mean, great. Yeah. I want to sell to everyone in the world, you know? So them helping us do that is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you should turn on shipping policies. You're not going to want to do it, but I think you should.
Okay, that is it for this week. I hope everyone stays safe and sane.
And healthy.
During this time. You can come to our forum at scavengerlife.com/forum. That's where we all hang out, kind of just talk about constructive items is just, I'm saying we're very constructive. And please, if you're new, come on, introduce it yourself, because people enjoy kind of talking about people's stores, Okay. We also asked if you like coffee to go to broadporch.coffee and buy some coffee from them and say that you came from Scavenger Life. It's going to be a really funny, like, surprise for Phil. He's going to be like, who are all these people? Because mainly he just sells to, like, our local area where people know him,
right.
Churches and different people. So, okay. And that is it for this week. We're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Sell trash. Be safe.